This is Sung, and I'm the Principal and Director of Sky Academy, and in this episode I want to start off the topic of probability, right? And probability sits somewhere in the course where it kind of stands alone. You don't really need to know other parts of the course to really do the topic of probability well. So I want to spend a little bit of time doing probability and doing it in such a way that you can study it on its own. In the first episode, what I want to be doing is just giving you a brief introduction to what probability is. I want to be looking at some key definitions that you'll need to know. And I also want to be looking at the basic formula for probability and just giving you some of the definitions and notations that you need to know to set you up to do this topic well. So let's get stuck into it. Let's have a look at some definitions. And the first definition, I guess, is the word probability. I mean, after all, the topic is about probability, so at least the least we can do is know what it means, okay? Probability is the study of chance. As a subject, probability is concerned with the study of chance, okay? The probability of something happening is the mathematical likelihood of that event occurring, of that outcome or that event. Okay, it's the mathematical likelihood of that outcome or that event occurring. Okay, now what is an event or what is an outcome? The outcome or the event in a probability is something happening that we define it to happen. All right, as we define it to happen. Okay, so it's when some predefined event occurs. All right, so for example, rolling a 6. We define our event as rolling a 6, and if that occurs, then that's the probability, that's the event whose probability that we're studying. Okay, does that make sense? So it's when some predefined event occurs. I guess that's what it is. All right, so a favorable event is something that we want to see happen occurs. Okay, so it's obviously the probability of a favorable event is the probability that that will occur. All right, and the sample space is all possible events or outcomes that can occur. So when it comes to rolling a dice or a die, the sample space would be the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right? Because when we're rolling a dice, and hopefully there's 6 faces to the die, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers that you could roll. You can't roll the number 0. You can't roll the number 7, 8, 9, or 10. And so all the numbers that you can roll are listed here already, right? So that's what we call the sample space. It's the list of all possible events or outcomes that can occur. Got it? So here we've got the probability of an event is basically the mathematical likelihood of that event occurring. An event is some predefined event occurring, all right? An event or outcome is some predefined thing happening, all right? It's favorable if we wanted to see it happen, and that's the probability that we're studying, right? So what's the probability of rolling a 3? Well, the favorable event is rolling a 3, yeah? And the sample space is all possible events or outcomes that can possibly occur. Right? And basically, the shorthand notation for the probability of something happening is P outside of E, right? And E stands for the event, P stands for the probability. So probability of an event is written as P outside of E, okay? So P outside of E is the probability of that event occurring, and the way that we define the probability of that event occurring is that it's the number of favorable outcomes over the number of all possible outcomes. Okay? So when it comes to rolling a 3, right? How many favorable outcomes are there? Well, there's only one, isn't it? And that's rolling a 3. How many possible outcomes are there? Well, there are 6. So you can roll a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 5, or 6. So the probability of rolling a 3 would be 1 out of 6. All right? And so the way that we would write that is the probability of rolling a 3 would be 1 out of 6. Okay? Now, let me just end on another point here, and that is the probability of an event occurring will lie somewhere between 0 and 1. It can equal 0, so it's going to be greater than or equal to 0, and it can also equal 1, so it'll be greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so I'll give you an example of a probability that can equal 0, right? What is the probability that when rolling a 6-sided dice you're going to roll a 10? Well, the number 10 doesn't exist, so it's going to be, you're going to have 0 chance out of 6. Yeah? What's the chances of rolling a number less 6 or less? Right? Well, it's going to be, whatever number that you roll is going to be 6 or less. So the answer is that it's going to be 6 out of 6, which is 1. Okay? So all probabilities lie between 0 and 1. Okay? And that sets up the introduction to probability. Alright, so I'll stand over to the side, and what I want you to really be familiar with is the definition of what a probability is. Be aware of what an outcome or an event is. When something is favourable, be aware of the word sample space and how to use it. Be aware of the formula for probability. It's the number of favourable outcomes over the total number of possible outcomes. Alright? And also understand that any probability will lie between 0 and 1. Alright? Thank you very much for watching.